afraid to speak. But you see, the love for this country is greater than anything else. However, are we going to say because we love Nigeria, we're not going to speak up anymore? We're not going to challenge the ills of the government? Well, our work is to put government in checks. And that is what we're currently doing. And so, for instance, when you have, when you say, may Nigeria not happen to you, you are saying that let insecurity not happen to you. When you go to the hospital, let the doctor not be on strike on that particular day. Because if the doctors are on strike and you are in a critical condition, certainly may God help you.
That will be your situation.
So that will be the situation. You are driving on the road and maybe for one or two reasons, there is a little accident and it's supposed to result to a loss of life, and you don't have emergency paramedics there or the road safety. Certainly, Nigeria is going to happen to that person negatively. So those are the things that we're talking about. You are traveling on the road, you know, you approach a lonely road where you're supposed to have security, and all of a sudden the forest traders, the Boko Haram and the rest of them come out and you are being kidnapped. Nigeria is happening. So those are the things that we're talking about. You see, in all of these things I'm saying today, it is not to encourage despair or whatever. It's to say that in everything, we still have hope in this country. However, we have people in leadership position that is supposed to champion this hope. They're supposed to champion this hope because why? They are interacting, they are enjoying taxpayers' money, and they should really do their job for Nigerians.
Absolutely, absolutely. It sometimes is really painful sharing experience with Nigerians like Ambassador Iyama, who have experienced this country in several dimensions, and they pour out their emotions, they pour out their heart, you know, for Nigeria to be good. But he also said something like, there is hope somewhere, you know, for democracy in Nigeria. It may not be all gloom. It may not be all gloom about Nigeria and democracy. After all, the greatest democracies in the world, talk about India, talk about America, you know, took time to grow, took time to develop.
Yes, I would have bought into that. I would have bought into that. But let me use, in spite of the fact that they were coming from medieval eras, where there was no internet, where there was no technology, yet
they thrived.
They thrived. How much more when we have technology in our present day world? So we cannot be using that to, you know, justify some of the. However, I get the point. You see, we must give ourselves time. We must give ourselves time. We must give ourselves break. We must say kudos to where we have thrived and give a knock to some of the places that we need to do better. You know, because in everything, I would say, okay, thank God. Okay, prior to 1999. Before 1999 and all that, we're not having telecommunication. We just had, what they call it, Nitel. And today, when Obasanjo was inaugurated in 1999, within 2 or 3 years, I mean, we could talk to ourselves from any part of the world. Do you understand? So those are some of the gains of democracy. So, but one of the things I will continue to say is that for young Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, the 2027 election is around the corner. Maybe we are coming there in the discussion, or maybe I'm too fast. However, this is the time to get ready, because there is no credible democracy without a credible election.
No credible democracy without credible elections. And I'm happy that no matter how tough it is in Nigeria, Ambassador Iyama sees light at the end of the tunnel. What he's saying is, let's keep that light glowing. And that's why no matter what he has been through, he's been kidnapped, he paid ransom, and he is here talking about it to Nigerians, especially to the security operatives in the country and to the presidency, that this country needs to be rescued, not the kidnapped now. The country needs to be rescued. You know, in a moment, we shall be checking on Dr. Awal Abdullahi Aliu, who joined us earlier on from Kaduna, but we didn't get an audio through. We hope his audio will come through, you know, subsequently. But let's move on with the program, moving things quickly. We just have some, you know, areas to look at some of the achievements of democracy in Nigeria. We will bring them to you on graphics. You know, Nigeria's gains on democracy in 27 years. I know that Ambassador Yama would want to make a comment on this, but let's go through them. There has been peaceful transitions of power. You know, Nigeria has witnessed multiple transfers of power from one civilian administration to another. In 2015, an incumbent president, Goodluck Jonathan, conceded defeat in bold letters. Conceded defeat, highlighted, I tell you, and handed power to Muhammadu Buhari. It was the first time an elected president lost re-election and peacefully transferred power. I think that's a progress, you know, in democratic struggle. Now, strong institutions, we talked about that, you know, those still fragile. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has grown more technologically capable. The 2023, I know that Nigerians would question that.
Of course.
You know, the 2023 elections, despite their controversies, featured the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and then the INEC Result Viewing Center, IREV portal, initiations that should increase transparency. Now, you also questioned that transparency earlier on in your comment. You know, the judiciary has at times shown independence. I don't know, I think you put a question mark. You already put a question mark on that. You know, the judiciary showing independence, ruling against incumbents. That has happened in this country.
That was, you know, in the past. That was
in the last 27 years. We are talking about 27 years.
So
in the last 27
so kudos
years.
to the judiciary.
And also nullifying flawed elections and asserting constitutional authority. That's also a milestone.
You see, somehow, I want to think that when things happen like this, the judiciary also look at the body language of the president. How do I mean? When President Yar'Adua came on board, he said the election that brought him was marred with irregularities.
But he still accepted it.
Yes, but he still accepted it.
He still ascended the throne.
However, the judiciary got that body language and started acting. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, so a lot of things depends on the body language of the president. However, we shouldn't be getting there. People should just do their job without necessarily looking at what the president will say or what the president will not say. That's my thought. So, but kudos.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's look at the vibrant civil society which you strongly represent. Nigerians are more engaged than ever. The protests of 2020, that's NSAS and all of that, showed a generation unwilling to accept abuse of power. I mean, you have always stood for, you know, against abuse of power in Nigeria. You know, media houses, despite pressure, continue to investigate and report. Civil society organizations, which my dear friend here in the studio, you know, strongly represent, monitor elections. And you said that you have monitored elections all over Nigeria. You are full of experience, first-hand experience. I mean, so you can speak experiential knowledge about how elections are conducted in Nigeria. And they advocate for reforms and hold leaders accountable. Now, we also highlighted this. The Nigerian voice is louder, bolder, and more demanding. But is it being heard?
I want to say, to be positive, yes. Because a lot of times when we speak up like that, you'll find out that even when they want to claim that they are not listening, but they are hearing. They are not listening, but they are hearing you. And so, for instance, the NSAS, when it started, they felt, okay, we cannot, but, I mean, they got the message. And whether the reforms really happened with the Nigerian police or not is a question for another day. But the then Inspector General of Police. I mean,
no, but beyond that, Ambassador, there have been several other protests. I'm not talking about NSAS here. No, but there have been several
based on what you highlighted, actually.
That's why I asked that question. Are the voices of Nigerians being heard?
You know, somebody said, a musician said, if you ask me now, who I go ask. But the truth of the matter is, we are getting there. the government, let's not make any mistake about this. They are afraid of citizens, enlightened citizens. Citizens who stand up for justice. They are afraid of such people.
But why should they be afraid?
No, because if you're not doing the right thing, they have causes to be afraid. See, our democracy is still fragile. 27 years of democracy. I'm sure you saw the list of people that they arrested for trying to plan a coup.
A military coup.
The military coup. So our democracy is still fragile. And don't think that both the military and whosoever tried to plan, those people in the military that tried to plan those coups, don't think that they don't have some disgruntled Nigeria outside. Because a lot of times when you have, what brought about some of the coups we have experienced in this country, it was because citizens were disgruntled and the military bought into that sentiment. But right now we have enlightened citizens who says, no, come on, we are past that era of military dictatorship. Let us stick to our democracy, no matter how it is. Even if we fail, let us keep trying until we get there.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, we're still looking at the gains of democracy. Whichever way you look at it, let's look at democratic culture. I mean, it looks like it's taking roots in Nigeria. Now, more Nigerians believe that ballots, not bullets.
Yes, ballots, not bullets.
Should determine leadership. And I ask, is it? You said something like voting in Nigeria, election in Nigeria, being decided by the justices at the High Court, Appeal Court, and the Supreme Court. But this is one of the democratic culture we're experiencing in Nigeria. Now, youth participation is also rising.
Yeah.
I mean, we can gladly see that. Open space.
Yes, in fact, in the 2023 general election, we witnessed, even though that's a low voter turnout, we witnessed close to 39.9 million Nigerians, all right, or 39.9% of young Nigerians participating in that election. In 2023, we had a lot of Gen Zs participating in election for the very first time.
And they did not go to play football on the street.
Yes, they didn't go to play football on the street across the country. Do you understand? And let me tell you,
absolutely,
the 2027 general election, based on the kind of work we have been doing with other civil society organizations, because after the 2023 general elections, for young Nigerians, the election did not go as they wanted it. However, most of them felt discouraged, but with the kind of continuous voters registration exercise that we have been carried out across the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, in fact, we are going to have more millions of young Nigerians participating in the 2027 general elections. So, in terms of youth participation, especially those young people participating in parliamentary elections, in leadership positions, it has also increased with the Not Too Young to Run that was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. I think that was May 30th, 2018. You understand? So we have seen numbers of young people aspiring to hold leadership position. In the past, it used to be young people singing their praises, pasting posters and all that. But from when that bill was signed into law, if we have seen growth of at least 7.8% of young Nigerians.
And
that's progress.
I still wonder, the last election in Nigeria, we witnessed open threats to Nigerians. Don't come out to vote. If you come out to vote at your own risk. And they stayed back at home and they didn't come out to vote. We know some states that happened, especially against a particular sect of Nigerians, tribes of Nigeria, saying, don't come out. If you come out, we will deal with you. And nothing happened.
You see, of course, this is your studio, so you may not want to mention name. So let me also stick with that. But that is what I say. Democracy
is on trial.
That's what I mean when I say democracy is on trial. So because you cannot, and the people who instigated those things are so-called champions of democracy, because they said nothing. They heard nothing. They said nothing. In fact, in some of the polling units, especially in this Lagos, they were escorted by armed security men to orchestrate violence on innocent Nigerians. So what kind of democracy is that? And you see, despite all of those things, you see, young people still got the courage. Citizens still had the courage to say, no matter what, we are still going to vote. And it is going to also expand in 2027 general elections. So for those people that are thinking, okay, they are going to subject people to intimidation, call it work, it's not going to work, because young Nigerians are more aware. They are ready to die and protect their vote at all costs, because they know it is only votes that can bring credibility credible vote that can bring the credibility of any person aspiring for any leadership position. And
Absolutely.
when you lose that credibility amongst young Nigerians, you have lost it, no matter who you think you are.
When you lose that credibility, you have lost it.
Amongst young Nigerians, yes, yes.
All right. There's still some aspects of that democratic culture left untouched. Speaking particularly women.
Yeah.
I mean, you can notice that more women are now participating in democratic process in Nigeria. Isn't that also again?
Yeah, in fact, there's a current project by some civil society organization titled Elect Her.
Elect Her?
Yes, Elect Her.
I like that.
Yes, Elect Her. And that project is geared towards mobilizing a lot of young women to be in political spaces. Because if you look at the electoral demography, if you look at the statistics, we have more women and more young people participating in the election. One would have thought that it should ordinarily translate to most of them in the parliament. All right? So there is nothing wrong if we have a woman vice president or a woman president. There's nothing wrong if we have at least 30 or 40%.
Why can't Nigeria even produce a woman president?
I mean, so you have countries that are excelling because of that. Rwanda, Botswana.
Absolutely.
All right, so we can also, you know that as I'm talking to you now, there is a bill that is before the National Assembly that it has gone around to the system of the federation, where most of the states, now they started voting, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I can tell you for free, that particular clause where they want to remove nomination fees, all those kind of fees and all that, those bottlenecks against women, the National Assembly wants to remove it to ensure that at least somehow we'll have 30% increment of young women in the parliament. Yeah.
Ambassador, I still have one pain, you know, talking democratic culture in Nigeria, just before we, move things to the next segment. That is the conversation shifting from who will seize power. Mark my language. Who will seize power, to who will earn my vote.
Yeah.
It's a culture Nigeria is still struggling with.
Have you read the story of Ali Baba and the 40 thieves?
And the 40 thieves.
Just like Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka highlighted in one of his speeches in 2005 when he gave that scenario of Ali Baba and the 40 thieves. And he put it this way. He said the situation of the country is like Ali Baba and the 40 thieves, who those that are inside, by all means possible, are struggling to remain. And those that are outside are by all means possible struggling to come inside. There is a problem when we are thinking about, see, our politicians in this country are not statesmen. Mark my words, they are not statesmen. They are always thinking about the next election. Election did not finish in 2023 when they started planning for 2027. Nobody is talking about governance. Nobody is talking about how they are going to ensure that the people are happy, the people are smiling. Everybody is talking about how to share the money. See, it's about, because in Nigeria, it's about the winner
takes it all.
They take it all. And so it's power grabbing. People are struggling by all means. So that's why you find out that people will do anything to be in power in this office, to be in power in Nigeria. And that is why in Nigeria currently, we have some members of the National Assembly who have been there since 1999, yet no visible impact. You finish contesting for presidency. I mean, you finish contesting after your years in as a state governor. The next thing is that you are thinking of how to go to the Senate. When you finish from Senate, you are thinking of how to come back to contest a presidency. When you finish anything, as far as you. So has that translated into good governance in the past 27 years? Let's ask ourselves that question. And you see, I think it is because Nigerians are not holding these people accountable enough. We must hold them accountable. One of the interesting parts of President Tinubu is that he gave a lot of resources to the state governors when he said he's removing subsidy. So state governors have more resources than any other time in the history of our Nigerian democracy. But the question is, has that translated to good governance to the Nigerian people?
A very big question Ambassador Iyama is asking here in the studio on this very special broadcast of Democracy Day 2026 here in Nigeria on LN 24/7. If you've just joined us, It's been, a robust conversation here commemorating Democracy Day in Nigeria. 27 years of uninterrupted civilian rule in Nigeria. So many question marks. We tried to present the other side of it. The real gains, they are not trivial really, but they are built on, blood has been shed, the detentions have happened, and the dream of people like late Chief MKO Abiola, but it's only heavy, but progress is not the same as perfection, right? So there's still, other areas to look at. If you've just joined us, this is Democracy Day special live here on LN 24/7. I understand the phone lines have been jamming, but as they come through to the studio, we'll take your calls as we enter, the final segment of conversation on this special day. This is only the morning session. There will be much more for you later on today at 4 p.m. After this break, we shall return with the challenges, the cracks in the foundation of democracy in Nigeria. Stay with us. Okay, thanks for staying with us here on Special Democracy Day Celebration 2026. 27 years of struggle, to get democracy to the level and point of satisfaction Nigerians want. If you've just joined us, a lot has gone down, but we still have much more for you right here. Let's look at some gains earlier that we talked about, but cannot pat ourselves on the back like Ambassador Chris Iyama have been drumming to our ears. We cannot think we've done it all. That needs to be done to get democracy to where it should be. All right, our next conversation, our next discussion will border on the challenges to our democratic process in Nigeria, which we must confront, I tell you, if we're to get it right. As we get ready for that, let's bring you this special report from our Abuja Center, Nigeria's unending struggle for true federalism, coming from LN 24/7, Abuja. Take a listen.
June 12 is more than a date on Nigeria's democratic calendar. It is a reminder of sacrifice, struggle, and the enduring aspiration for a nation where power truly belongs to the people. As Nigeria marks another Democracy Day, one question continues to echo across political, economic, and civic spaces. Has Nigeria truly achieved federalism as envisioned at independence? More than 6 decades after independence and over 25 years into the current democratic era, the debate around true federalism remains one of the most persistent and unresolved national conversations. At its core, Federalism is a system of governance where power is constitutionally shared between a central authority and federating units, states or regions, each with defined autonomy. In a true federal arrangement, subnational governments are not merely administrative extensions of the center. They possess meaningful control over key resources, security structures, taxation, and development priorities. Nigeria operated a closer version of this structure in the First Republic, where regions had significant control over resources and development planning. Over time, however, successive constitutional changes shifted Nigeria toward a more centralized federation. Today, many argue that the pendulum has swung too far, creating what some describe as a unitary system disguised as federalism. Several structural and governance challenges continue to fuel calls for reform. 1. Over-centralization of power, where key responsibilities such as policing, major taxation powers, resource control, and key regulatory functions remain heavily concentrated at the federal level. Critics argue this limits innovation and slows development at the state level. 2. Resource control and fiscal dependence. Nigeria's revenue allocation system remains a major point of contention. Many states depend heavily on monthly allocation from the federal account, raising concerns about productivity, accountability, and fiscal independence. 3. Security architecture. With rising insecurity in many parts of the country, there is increasing debate over whether a centralized police system is still effective. Advocates of restructuring call for state policing or decentralized security frameworks. 4. Inequality in development. Regional disparities in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and industrial growth continue to widen. Critics argue that a one-size-fits-all federal approach does not adequately address Nigeria's diversity. And 5. Constitutional constraints. Many reform advocates point to the 1999 Constitution as amended as heavily centralized and in need of restructuring to reflect Nigeria's diversity and modern governance realities. While the call for restructuring remains strong, there are concerns, however, raised against radical decentralization. Some fear that greater state autonomy could deepen ethnic or regional fragmentation. Others argue that weaker central control may lead to uneven development or governance inconsistencies across states. There is also concern about capacity, whether all states currently have the institutional strength to manage expanded responsibilities effectively. These concerns suggest that any reform must be carefully balanced to avoid instability. Despite different views, there is growing consensus that Nigeria's federal system requires recalibration rather than abandonment. Possible way forward may include gradual decentralization of powers, fiscal federalism reform, constitutional reform process, strengthening institutions and not just structures, and then intergovernmental cooperation frameworks. As Nigeria reflects on June 12 and the journey of its democracy, the conversation on true federalism remains unfinished business. The challenge is not merely about restructuring power, but about building a system that works, one that reflects Nigeria's diversity while ensuring unity, equity, and development. The question is no longer whether reform is needed, but how soon and how boldly Nigeria is willing to define its federal future. Because ultimately, the strength of any federation lies not only in the concentration of power, but in the balance that allows every part of the nation to thrive.
Okay, as broadcaster, veteran journalist Lara Oweyewa is there with that report. Nigeria, the unending struggle for true federalism. A very interesting point of conversation, I tell you. True federalism in Nigeria, the center versus the regions. You know, that conversation, she says, is unending. And I would like to ask, can it ever end? When will it end? All right, we've been trying to reconnect with Dr. Awal Abdullahi Aliyu, the Secretary General of the Armed Forces Federation of Nigeria, another strong stakeholder in the affairs of the country. We have him now on phone, joining us from Kaduna. Great to have you, Dr. Ali, from Kaduna. Happy Democracy Day, I must say. Can you hear us?
I can hear the line is breaking.
Sounds like I can hear you at the background, but you've got to turn up the audio.
You said?
Dr. Awal?
Yeah?
Wow.
I can hear you now. I can
we'll
hear
continue to fine-tune that and hoping that it will come through before we end the morning segment. Okay, Dr. Awal, if you hear us, I did say Happy Democracy Day in Nigeria. How happy are you 27 years after democracy started in Nigeria, uninterrupted, though I must say, from 1999? Welcome to this conversation from Kaduna.
Thank you very much. Happy Democracy Day to Nigeria and all Nigerians.
Wow.
Well, I didn't get the question, but if you say how far have you fared in the uninterrupted democracy day from 1999 to today, I would say that democracy has come to stay in Nigeria by the special grace of God. All that matters, not only in Nigeria, but the world over, is supposed to be a government for the people, by the people, which is a government that is democratically elected by the people in order to govern them, a constitutional government.
All right. Dr. Awal, I may have to suggest we take this conversation. Yes, I hear you now. Thank you so much. You know, I did say happy Independence Anniversary, but I have Ambassador Chris Iyama here in the studio. He's a civil society advocate. You know, he has spoken so much about the journey of democracy in Nigeria and the challenges. That's where we are now. We are really hitting home stretch on this morning edition. We will be back again at 4 p.m. Maybe we will continue the conversation there. But what's your take on the challenges facing democracy in Nigeria?
Well, democratic government, not only in Nigeria, but all over, there are, depending on the situation, there are challenges. If you take the Nigerian aspect, today, what is most challenging for us is the security issue. Not only then followed by the economic hardship, so to say, even though the president is bringing in some reformative measures that will take care of the economic hardship, a short-term, medium-term, and of course, a long-term measures that the president is preparing or the administration preparing under the economic policy of the present administration, But the truth is, it is biting hard on Nigeria, biting hard on Nigeria. Nigerians are stepping to actually provide to get to take care of their basic needs, most especially physical, medical, education of their children, and of course other day-to-day requirements of life. With the skyrocketing prices of petroleum product, you know very well that Nigeria's economy is reliant mostly on petroleum. And then today we have the prices, some prices very, very high, and everything boils down to that petroleum product, from transportation. Whatever you're going to do, you have to make from point A to point B, and that is telling on every other thing, food item, the communication issues, infrastructure development matters, agricultural issues, every other thing that even the communication that we are communicating. Most of the radio and television houses are using either diesel or petroleum electricity generating machines, and you have to, the cost of all this is selling even in our communication sector. Yes, good enough, there are solar solutions. They are built, but at the same time, it's also going down to the experimental matter, because you have to use money to buy all these products, the trailer itself, and then where it is. That is on one aspect. On the other aspect, I talked about the security challenges that the country is facing. And on those security matters, if you look at it critically, it is also getting hard. Almost 90 states out of the 36 states have one security challenge or the other. No, not deliberate. It is not the making of, so to say, the present administration. They came and met a lot of security challenges, and then having had the Kenya is fast approaching. Of course, the security challenges is equally escalating. We ordinarily are seeing this as a sign of deliberate attempts, which is like we call it a conspiracy theory, in order to discredit the contributions of our security agencies, and of course the effort made by the government itself in order to fulfill the security challenges. It is somehow discredit the government and an attempt to also discredit the president.
Dr. Awal, permit me to come in here. Dr. Awal, please permit me to come in here. Like I said to Ambassador Iyama, Democracy Day really hasn't been about the scorecard of the president, sitting president, but of democracy in Nigeria. When I talk about democracy, what comes through your mind? What does it mean to you? I mean, talking democracy, 27 years down the line, what does democracy mean to you? Are you feeling democracy in Nigeria the way you would have loved to, or the way it should have been felt?
Well, democracy means freedom of expression. Democracy means freedom of electing who you want, who the people want to be governed by. Democracy means you can stand on your own. Democracy expresses the freedom of a nation, the freedom of a people. Democracy means every citizen being carried along in governance and the leadership. This is simply what it means democracy. It is not a government that is enforced on the people. It is a government that the people decide who becomes their leader. It is a government that decides the economic policy of the nation. There, public open discussion between the government and the governed. All these are part of what democracy brings to the table. And every Nigerian, I would say, to an extent, that Nigerians are happy that we are under democratic government. Yes, we did not get it right up to now. This is because of the so many years of the military rule. You know, it takes a day to destroy what is built for 100 years. Or in only one day, you can destroy what is built in 100 years. So this is what the military rule have done to Nigeria. Nigerians thinking, Nigeria's behavior, Nigeria's society is already militarized. So Nigerians are not seeing, a lot of Nigerians do not see the good in democracy up to now because of the militarization of their thinking, the militarization of their psyche. But whether we like it or not, democracy is the best form of government. The worst democracy is better than the best military dictatorship because there's no expression, there's no freedom. And freedom is one of the fundamentals of democracy. And that is what even makes a human being to become human being. Once a human is not free, there is no freedom, then there are restrictions of almost every. You need a very difficult and tight life. You need an uncomfortable life. But democracy provides for comfortable life. Democracy provides for that freedom. You feel free. You feel like a human being yourself. These are just part of what democracy entails. And yes, like I said, there are steps here and there. We've not gotten it the way it's supposed to be gotten. We are not yet there. It is not yet fulfilled. But it is a journey. And that journey is a journey that takes a longer time. America today is boasting of being the superpower of the world most democratic nation. But if you look at from where America is coming from, up to where it is now, it's almost more than 2 centuries of democracy. So if you compare with other countries, and then look at the Nigerian experience, that the number of years that we've had non-interrupted democratic governance today, you would agree with me that we are even making an accelerated move. We have been accelerated the development, so to say. Other nations of the world, even the African continent, if you compare Nigeria with other countries that have not had military rule or that had the opportunity of having more number of years under democratic leadership, and you compare with Nigeria under the Nigerian democratic arrangements from 1999 till now, you still agree with me that Nigeria is doing good. Democracy has a lot to offer. Democracy is offering a lot to Nigeria, but Nigerians are not seeing it now. Like I said, because of the militarization of our psyche and our thinking, we want things done now and this very moment. We don't believe in procedure. We don't believe in things being short-term, medium, and long-term. We don't want things to be done now, and we must have it now. But once it is not done now, we are not having it now, then whoever is the leader or whatever form of policy we are having, you find Nigerians are complaining and then are not satisfied. And another thing is Nigerians
challenges
I
really.
don't know how we get to this level.
Yeah, those are the challenges really that we've been addressing on this conversation. I'm happy you are touching on some of these areas. Dr. Awal, stay with us in Kaduna. Stay with us. We will return to you, shortly. Just stay with us, and I'm happy from the perspective you are coming from. Democracy in Nigeria, well, he said we have made giant strides, but I know you two want to come into that conversation. But gentlemen, hang on a little bit. We'll take another quick break, and we will be right back because everybody is talking about democracy in Nigeria. Stakeholders are speaking, about democracy in Nigeria, especially the traditional institutions that seem to hold. We cannot clearly define where the traditional institution belong to in the present day democracy in Nigeria. One of such is from Osogbo. Our Osogbo correspondent, Osho State correspondent, Tosin Adedoku, spoke with a couple of traditional institutions and stakeholders making, comments on that. But stay with us. After this break, we'll go to Osogbo, and then Dr. Awal and Ambassador Chris Iyama will take us on the final stride. You are watching Democracy Day Special, 27 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria, right here live on LN 24/7, wherever you are joining us around the world. I'm happy the phone lines got through and we're able to, speak with Dr. Awal, who is the Secretary General, Armed Forces Federation of Nigeria, speaking. One interesting thing he said? He said the worst democracy is better than the best military dictatorship. And he is the Secretary General of the Armed Forces Veteran. That's heartwarming to hear. But we'll be right back. Stay with us, and we'll take a quick break and continue this conversation.
Your brand deserves to be seen. On Helen 24/7, we put your business in front of a global audience, anytime, anywhere. From product highlights to full brand features, we help you connect with customers who matter, grow your reach, and boost your visibility. Reach millions across TV, digital, and social media platforms. For more information, you can send us an email or contact us via the numbers on your screen. Partner with Helen 24/7 today, where your brand meets opportunity.
All right, great to have you back. If you've just joined us, this is Democracy Day Special live on LN 24/7. Right here, just before the break, we were talking about the traditional institution, and we go to Osogbo, where LN 24/7 correspondent sent in this report. Ifagbe Nusola Atonda calling on the government to engage the indigenous traditional practitioners, arguing that such collaboration is crucial for realizing true democracy and ensuring a prosperous future for Nigeria. Let's take a listen.
Eshe, thank you very much. You see, for any topic you bring, you want to know the meaning of the topic. The word democracy. The world knows that, you say, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's the only thing we have to look at. Is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. Is it doable? Yes, it's doable. Is it good to be done? Yeah. It's good to be done. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. Are we ready to do it? That last thing, are we ready to do it? Government of the people. Is it good? Yes, it's good. Is it necessary? Oh, very necessary. Can we do it? Yeah. Do we love to do it? Yeah. Are we ready? That's the point. You see what produced Tinubu and the like, who were following Abiola, blah, blah, all of these. We know the story. We cannot talk of democracy day without talking about Abiola. We knew what Abiola was handling. We knew all the story of Abiola. We knew the role Babangida played. We knew the role the Obas played. We knew the role of all of them. We know all of them. We know what happened. Cannot be going into that. We know exactly what really happened, that havoc was done. That's it. Havoc was done. The death of Abiola and the situation only showed us that we can practice democracy. We are able to practice democracy. We love to do it. But we are not ready. That's the problem. If you are hungry, you know food is the answer for your hunger. And you have food. And you love to. But you are not ready for it. For whatever reason. But be see. You are not ready. We say June 12th, Democracy Day. How did it come about it? But that's the time the fairest election was done in Nigeria, supervised by all members of civilized countries and blah, 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 blah. Which means we have to make sure, starting from that day, we have to practice democracy. Are we practicing it? If you practice democracy, should we have all the problems we have in the country today? Should we have banditry? Should government not be able to do the government work? Should the government be paying ransom to rescue people? If we have the democracy, will any government force any king on any town if we practice democracy? Don't we have story of, I don't want to go into personalities. We don't have situation where kingmakers will say, hey, this is the person we want, but somebody powerful has told the governor said, this is the person I want. And if we don't, I'm not going to sign it. Is that how we practice democracy? Judges will find people guilty for murder and commit them to death, and the governor will say, I cannot sign. Is that democracy? We waste words. We deceive ourselves. And that's why I said there will be consequences. Justice delayed is justice denied. We know what is democracy. Do we practice it? Do we want to practice it? Are we able to practice it? If we are able, are we ready? This is the problem. When there's an election, it's the main thing now. I want to be the president. I want to be the governor. I want to be the chairman of the council. But when I get there, do I do the right thing? And we know. You know yourself that you don't want to do the right thing. Oh, I could have done it, but some people came to me yesterday that if I do it, there will be a problem. What was the excuse of Babangida? He said, oh, you people don't know what happened. Abiola was my friend. But some people came to me that if I do it, there will be a problem. people. The ballot box should be the people. But we're not doing it. And it's unfortunate. And when problem of God comes,
All right, from Oshogbo, the capital city of Osun State, LN24/7 correspondent speaking to, another set of stakeholders in Nigeria, and that has to do with the traditional practitioners. But most importantly, Ifegbe Nusola Atonda, they are saying that Nigeria is far from true democracy. I mean, Nigeria knows what to do. The government knows what to do. The people in power knows what to do. But are they doing it? But it has to be done, However you look at it, most Nigerians agree that there are still many, many challenges facing the nation in her quest to let democracy have its way. I like that. In her quest to let democracy have her way, carries a lot of weight. If you've just joined us, I still have Ambassador Chris Iyama, civil society advocate, who also is the country director, Equity International Initiative in Nigeria. All right, I'm told that our Abuja Center is joining us now. Lara Owewa is broadcaster from our Abuja Center. Great to have you join us on this special Democracy Day broadcast. Lara, are you with us now? Hello, Abuja. Okay, the control room there, making sure that signal comes through to us, But everybody you listen to, all the vox pops on the street, Nigerians speaking, from Lagos to Borno, from KB to Calabar, everybody says there are challenges facing Nigeria's democracy. Let's look at those challenges, on graphics. I have Ambassador Iyama and Dr. Awal to help us run through it. One is the electoral integrity in Nigeria. It remains compromised. I'm sure so many Nigerians will agree with this, that despite technological improvements, like Ambassador Iyama mentioned earlier, the 2023 elections were marred by violence at polling stations, voter intimidation, vote buying, and logistical failures. These challenges seem to remain. Have they gone away as we approach 2027? You said that 2027 will come in the course of this conversation. Here we are.
Yeah, like I'll keep saying that we don't prepare ahead of time. We understood some of the lapses in 2023 general elections. INEC also had off-cycles election.
Absolutely.
So, between 2023 and 2026, one would have expected that INEC would have fixed some of the challenges that they experienced during the 2023 elections and then the current off-cycles elections that are currently going on in the country. We must not have to wait for 11th hour to the election before we start solving the technological crisis about the election. And one thing again I would like to point out to Nigerians is that it is not about the institution now. It's about the people manning the technological aspect of our elections. Because in 2023, all of a sudden, we said, INEC told us they had server glitch. They could not transmit election results. And nobody was penalized. Nobody was queried. Nobody lost his job. Nobody resigned.
Nobody resigned.
Things went on like that. So you cannot also expect such kind of credible pools from such kind of institution like INEC. Because why? One would have expected that after the 2023 general election, they would have done an external audit. The National Assembly would have invited, what was his name? Mahmoud Institute.
The former INEC
chair. One would have thought that they would have invited the ICT director of INEC to question. But you see, because the election produced some of the most fraudulent set of people in the National Assembly, they wouldn't want to question that after all, if the glitch favored them, why would they want to invite anybody to National Assembly for questioning? Whereas in some other parliaments of the world, when things does not have to happen like this before people lose their job,
or before people throw in the towel and say, I'm not part of this.
Yes, I'm not part of this. We see people resigning from their position, from their exalted positions, because of their failed promises. In fact, we are going to be releasing our 2023 election report before the 2027 election. Let me be quick to say that the title of that report is Failed Promises.
Failed promises.
Failed promises. I'm just giving that explanation now. Failed promises, because we have to highlight, based on what INEC promised in 2023 general election, and based on what they delivered. Failed promises. You know, you recall that before the election, the INEC former national chairman, Mahmoud, was everywhere when he was telling people that, okay, they are going to transmit election results real time, this and that. He was even invited to one of the national TV stations. And then he still repeated that thing again. 11th hour, just less than 6 hours to the election. They asked him, are you still going to transmit results? He said yes. The servers, are they okay? He said yes. The technology that you have imported from South Africa, from US and from Dubai, are they going to work? He said yes, they have conducted mock analysis and everything is perfect. We went into the election hoping that based on what was promised to Nigerians, INEC, they were going to fulfill everything. When they were transmitting results, they said server off, and they experienced glitches. And from that on, nothing happened. And nobody, guess what? He was rewarded with an ambassadorial position. Is that the kind of country you want to live in?
Everybody talks about corruption in this system. Part of the challenges facing Nigeria. Like you were just mentioning, I recall that in 2025, the Freedom House report, also documented widespread irregularities, and when citizens lose faith that their votes, cannot count. When the citizens lose faith because they tell you my votes don't count. All these challenges and made democracy become a ritual, more or less, without substance. But looking at corruption in Nigeria, the cancer of corruption that has eaten or is still eating, from within. Corruption is not just a moral failure. Yeah. It is a democratic emergency. I want to say that. When public funds are stolen, schools collapse. When contracts are awarded to cronies, roads crumble. When justice is for sale, the rule of law dies. Nigeria ranks poorly on global corruption indices. And every point lost is citizens' trust betrayed. What do you say to that?
Let me give you an instance. The amount, as at 2003, the amount that was used to build the National Stadium in Abuja was about 16 billion. And that's 16 or 32 billion, as alleged by one of these international reporters. It was quoted there. National Stadium in Abuja, hold that thought somewhere.
The one named after
MKO Abiola. 16 to 32 billion. Abuja, as at 2003. As at that same 2003, Dubai developed about 4 states with electricity and with all the basic amenities and infrastructure with that same 16 to 32 billion naira.
The same amount of
with
money.
the same amount of money. So you are in a country where, for instance, the road, they will tell you, okay, road construction and all that. 1 kilometer road. Of course, I know a little bit of construction. 1 kilometer road is not supposed to, no matter the kind of area you want to construct that road, whether in riverine area and all that. But let us even take areas that are even good enough for construction. 1 kilometer road is not supposed to cost nothing less than, let's say, 100 million, for instance. But somebody we quote, a contractor we quote in connivance with the government, we quote as much as 3 or 4 billion naira. Where would the remaining money go to? Private pockets.
Corruption.
Corruption. And so, why we also blame the government? Let us also re-examine ourselves as citizens.
Absolutely.
It is very, very important.
Absolutely.
Because you that want to get a certificate you did not earn. Because the lecturer is your friend or because the VC is your friend, that is corruption.
Corruption.
You do not sit for an examination.
It's not only about stealing money.
It's not only about stealing money. You are who you are when nobody is watching you.
Absolutely.
That is who you are. And
Absolutely.
so, for us to be pointing, because of course, the people.
Ambassador, we have our Abuja Center through to us now. Lara Oyewa is broadcast. Always a pleasure, seeing you on air. Welcome to this conversation from LN 24/7 Abuja. We have Ambassador Chris Iyama here with us. Happy Democracy Day to you, Lara.
Thank you, Emily. Happy to every Nigerian, every Nigerian Democrat, everybody that wishes to be there, and those who not Happy Democracy Day to everybody in Nigeria, the government of our.
Right. We've been looking, at the journey, and one of the areas that have come through, since we started this conversation, also came from you, the struggle for true federalism in Nigeria, and that seems to be one of the biggest challenges democracy is facing in Nigeria. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Emily. Yes. Problem I democracy like
would you want to throw more light on that struggle? You have Chris Iyama here in the studio. Would you want to talk to us more about what you have seen about democracy 27 years uninterrupted in Nigeria? A lot of people that we have spoken to say Nigeria is not making progress. Well, we seem to. Can you hear us, Lara? All right. We'll tidy up your audio, Lara. Stay with us in Abuja, and we'll be back. So, Ambassador, we're still looking at the challenges. I will run through quite a few more before we go to the final conversation, which is the way forward, for democracy. But let's look at insecurity and the monopoly of violence in Nigeria. It's very important. And you've mentioned that is really, militating against security in Nigeria. And it says that a democracy cannot thrive when the state cannot protect its citizens. Thank you. Now the National Assembly is trying to pass the law for state police. But how far would that help Nigeria? Boko Haram in the northeast, banditry in the southwest, separatist agitations in the southeast, of course, and the farmer-herder conflicts in the Middle Belt. The state of insecurity hinders democracy. That is certain. Let's look at economic hardship, the democratic disillusionment. What does democracy mean to a mother who cannot feed her children? To a graduate who has sent out 500 job applications and received no response from 500? To a farmer whose crops rot away because there is no road to market? Poverty is the name of participation when survival is the daily battle. Civic engagement becomes a mere luxury. Let's move on to ethnic and religious polarization, Nigeria's greatest strength is diversity. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also said so earlier in his address. He says, Nigeria's diversity is sustaining democracy in Nigeria. However, remains questionable. All right. It's also often weaponized. Politicians play the ethnic cards. Religious sentiments are manipulated for votes. And in doing so, they undermine the very idea of a united Nigeria that June 12, 1993, that is being celebrated here, represents. Abiola's victory was a testament to cross-regional appeal. Today, Nigeria seems to be moving backwards. I'm sorry to say that.
No need to be sorry about that. But that's the truth.
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Wow. I'll let you come in. But let's take the media freedom under pressure. I think that's also another challenge Nigerians are facing. You know, why Nigerian media remains vibrant. There have been arbitrary arrests of journalists, government interference, and intimidation, especially during election periods. A democracy without press freedom is democracy blindfolded. I like that. Now the youths, a ticking time bomb. You know, you said that earlier on when we talked about youth engagement. You know, it's a ticking time bomb or untapped potential. Nigeria is one of the youngest nations on earth. Over 60% of its population is under 25. Now, these young people are educated, connected, and impatient. If they are included, they will renew Nigeria. If they are ignored, they will become a force that tears Nigeria apart. Ambassador. Now you are smiling. Now I got that smile out of you.
Any nation that neglects its youth population is doomed. Any nation that does not invest in the youth population has no future. The future of the world's population lies in the hands of the young people. And when you are making policies that you don't consider young people in the room, there is a problem. Because you cannot shave a man's hair in his absence.
In his absence.
Unfortunately, we have a system driven where policies are made for young people without the active participation of young people in the room. And so whenever you think about young people, you are thinking of the next people you are going to be using as campaign instruments. You are thinking about the next people you're going to be using to cause havoc. But beyond that, we have young people that are resilient, young people that are passionate, young people that are technologically advanced, young people. When we were doing the Not Too Young to Run bill, some of the fears amongst the National Assembly members was that, young people want to take over the parliament, young people want to take us out of our seats and all that. But we told them no, that the Not Too Young to Run was about intergenerational democracy, where the young people need the ideas of the old people, and the old people in the parliament need the digital idea of the young people. Everything that is striving today, that is moving forward, we can tie that to young people's participation. Because if you take away young people's participation in the economy, what about the technological advancement in some of our banks? What do you think are coming up with this technological advancement? They are young people in their early 18s, 22, 21, 25, and up to 35 years of age. And so we must give kudos, but however, they need to be supported more to thrive. We need to create an enabling environment where young entrepreneurs will thrive. You cannot, for instance, one of the challenges for young people now today is the fact that when, imagine somebody who is graduating from university, he applies for a job. You are saying that he must have 7 years of experience. From where? He has never worked in his life. Where do you expect him to get? Where does he get the 7 years of experience?
We read something that graduates Nigerian graduates can tell you 500 applications,
Yes.
not one response, not one
response.
Come
Yes.
work. So where does he get the experience
Yes,
from?
unfortunately, we have these narratives being pushed by big giants in Nigeria's economy, where they will tell you Nigerian graduates are unemployable. I think we have to change that narrative.
That's a facade.
I mean, we have to change our narrative, because you see, and that is where we must ensure that our young people in the university have practical skills. It is not just about theory. We have people studying mechanical engineering and they have never seen anything called mechanical in their lives.
I like that. I like that, moving forward. I like that. But we will come back to that, to look at the way forward for democracy in Nigeria. Let's go back to Kaduna. Permit me to go back to Kaduna. Dr. Awal, are you still with us? Right now we are talking about the challenges and the way forward for democracy in Nigeria. Earlier on, I read out quite a lot of them. I read out quite a lot: economic hardship, youth participation, insecurity in Nigeria. There are so many of them that we read: ethnic and religious polarization in Nigeria, media freedom, under pressure, and all of that. The youth bulge, I mentioned quite a lot of them. Like the youth bulge is a ticking time bomb. What's your take on these challenges that we have reeled out here facing democracy thriving in Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much once again. Like I said earlier, and bringing all these different aspects together and to discuss them, that is democracy and that is Nigeria for you. Like you lifeline, when it comes to media freedom, you and I know that it is under these circumstances that we are even having this conversation right now, because there is the freedom to express oneself, there's freedom to say what you think is right or what you think is wrong, even to the government, and by both on the policies and programs of government, or you can even openly, directly challenge the leadership itself on what you think the leadership is doing right or what you think the leadership is doing wrong. That is media freedom. And then, democracy thrives on freedom of expression. For as long as there's no freedom of expression, then democracy is backward. And today in Nigeria, you can discuss democracy, you can discuss government, you can discuss leaders and their leadership style, and you go home and sleep with your two eyes closed. That is democracy in Nigeria, and democracy is working. Now, the issue of religion also, there is freedom of practicing whatever religion that you want to do. Either you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, you are a traditional religion, you are a traditionalist, you are allowed to practice your religion the way it is supposed to be practiced. Nobody is hindering you, nobody is disturbing you concerning that aspect of religion. You spoke about traditional institutions, the role of traditional institutions under democratic government, whether they are thriving or not. You may recall that it is under the leadership of the then General Olusegun Obasanjo and later President that the DEM0CRACY 1979 DEM0CRACY reform come in, where that is where the traditional institutions lost their powers. They used to have a constitutional responsibility that is attached to their kingdoms or their offices as traditional leaders. But after that DEM0CRACY reform, they lost that power that brought traditional institutions under local government administration. Now, so to say, that is not too good per se, because as traditional rulers, you know that they have this level of respect, this level of recognition from the people, but bringing them down too low like that did not really help both the administrative aspect of their leadership and, of course, the overall security of the community. Before that you recall once there's a visitor coming to a community, he starts from the community level, that is the community leader, where you have to identify yourself, where you are coming from, where you are going to, or who you are going to see, what you are there to do, for how long you are going to stay, and when you will be leaving. And once there's any breach of law or law and order, where, because there is a documentation, or so to say, there is this administration that says once you come, you have to be identified with a particular house or particular clan, and it is easy if anything happens, you are being placed there. But because the traditional institution lost, they lost that.
All right.
That is no longer.
Yes, Dr. Awal, I'm getting feel as our Abuja Center is rejoining us now. Stay with us. We'll still come back to you. Let's bring in Lara Wise. But we've got, Lara, just stick there. Let me, we promised that we will be bringing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's speech. We will be looking at the key areas. But Lara, great to have you. Just before we go to President Tinubu's highlights, earlier on we were having issues hearing you, but great to have you back. Great to have you back on this Democracy Day.
Thank you, Emily. The network is going to be basic areas they're going to get back. She did listen to the president here in the studio with our and everything that the president speech can just to and the trying to administration.
Can you hear?
Just what someone enjoyed. We should as possibly try to sustain what is everything was able to Islam struggle for democracy. Emotional, going back to those guys. I enjoy today. Not a submission of photo. About development. Is doing errors. I think the first
when it comes to the journey of democracy in Nigeria. And this day, 27 years after, Nigerians don't seem to be happy with democracy in Nigeria. And the president said quite a lot, earlier on this day on his address to the nation. Let us stay with us in Abuja. Let's get some high points of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's address to Nigerians on the occasion of Democracy Day celebration. And we'll be right back to wrap it up, looking the way forward. Stay with us if you are watching. This is LN 24/7 Democracy Day special. We'll be right back after this.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
At LN 24/7, we bring the news closer to you.
Is failing to protect Christian.
And from Nigeria, we go to Kenya, where President William Ruto.
It was powerful all over the world.
Local and international news every hour, every day.
And a deal was struck.
Here on LN 24/7.
The eyes have it.
Let's look at the key drivers.
All right, high points of President Tinubu's address earlier on occasion of Nigeria's Democracy Day. I was trying to follow all that he said, and a few of them caught my fancy. You know, though he did not refer to it, the Japa syndrome, you know, has come to stay in Nigeria. But the president says every nation is built by those who stay behind to solve problems. All right. And then he also spoke about terrorism, and he said it's been cut down to 81%. Do you agree? Do you agree? The political freedom Nigerians are enjoying now, he says it should translate, you know, to economic power, to economic freedom, where the gains of democracy is witnessed in the pocket. But look at that. He says terrorism down to 81%, you know, describing the related deaths that have decreased by 81% since 2015. Now, over 13,000 terrorists neutralized in the past 1 year. And, you know, just as we go into the way forward, you know, you gave me figures, you gave me statistics of those still in captivity, especially the school children, you know, still languishing in the forest. And the president says it's been down to 81%.
So you can imagine what his security chiefs have been telling him, have been feeding him, apparently he doesn't have the right statistics or the right data. Because you cannot have over 2,700 Nigerians in captivity and you say that the insecurity has been cut down by 81%. Where did you get that statistics from? So people who should lead with integrity. We are not saying that you're not doing, we're not saying you're not working, but you see, you should be sincere to Nigerians. You should have this human sympathy. I didn't see or hear in any of the speech that he made that our school children in captivity will be returned back safe to their parents. I'm not sure I saw that. So where is the hope in the statement? You are telling young Nigerians not to japa, but that they should stay. That those who built
the nation and those who
stayed behind, but they don't have a conducive environment to stay. How many people can afford flight tickets today? Do you know that with £500 you can network the whole of Europe by flight? But I came from Jos to Lagos yesterday
to be on this program.
To be on this program. I spent 300,000 naira on flights, one-way tickets. I cannot use the road because if I use road, I may pay 30 million naira ransom. What sort of country is that? And yet you are saying that the insecurity challenges have been solved by 81%. I think that people who were elected or who choose themselves to be in public service must lead with integrity. My final thought, maybe is that of hope. And that in spite of the challenges that we are facing in this country, we should look away from the leaders because personally I know that the leaders have failed. They have not given any hope to any Nigerians. So we should just look away from them and build our hope ourselves, to have faith in ourselves, to think that no matter what is happening in this country, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
No matter what is happening, we should not, no matter the background, we should not allow our back to be on the ground. That young people, in spite of the challenges that you are facing, know that the 2027 election is around the corner. You can change things with your permanent voters card. So if you're yet to register, INEC continuous voters registration will end by July 10th. And so you have the window of opportunity now to go and register because that is the only way we can change this country. Don't say that your vote will not count. I am not INEC to begin to promise people to say that your vote will count. But as a citizen, do what you are supposed to do and leave the rest.
And bring Nigeria's democracy
out of quagmire.
And bring Nigeria's democracy out of trial.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's go to Kaduna. Dr. Awal Abdullahi, your final thoughts on this morning segment. Dr. Awal, are you with us? I wanted to get your final thoughts on this segment before we call it a wrap. Okay. All right. It's not coming through, but it's been a great morning segment right here, commemorating Nigeria's Democracy Day. For 27 years, democracy has been uninterrupted in Nigeria. We've looked at all the sides, all the angles. Dr. Awal Aliyu, right, you are now with us. Yeah, so just as we wrap it up, your final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts are as simple as they can be. Democracy has come to stay in Nigeria. Democracy still remains the best form of government the world over. Nigerians should support democracy. Nigeria should support the government so that the government can succeed. It is equally the responsibility of the government to ensure that all the policies and programs that the government is initiating and will continue to initiate will be people-friendly, will be policies that can bring food to the table of Nigerians, should be policies that can provide the necessary security, policies that can enhance the infrastructural development of the country, policies that will uplift the economic values of Nigeria, policies that will ensure government and governance is accessible, is affordable, and is beneficial to the country and to the citizens of the country. This are my thoughts. This is my thinking. While the government is doing what it's doing, It is the responsibility of Nigerians to equally support the government in whatever ways are possible through using medium like your own, expressing opinions, constructive criticism, providing solutions, indicating way out, and then correcting government politely, respectfully, and responsibly, so that the government can do what it's needed to do to better the country, to better the life of the citizens.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Awal Abdullahi Aliyu, Secretary General, Armed Forces Federation of Nigeria. Great to have you on this show. And once again, I say happy Democracy Day to you in Kaduna. And for Ambassador Chris Iyama, Civil Society Advocate and Country Director, Equity International Initiative, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. Democracy will soon get out of trial if they listen. And you said to me that they are listening. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. You also saw it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, this is where we will call it a wrap for this morning session. And we'll tell you that Democracy Day continues. And our correspondents are drawn all over Nigeria, and they are flung all over the 36 states of the Federation, covering activities marking this day. We shall return 4 p.m. Nigerian time, +1 GMT, to take the evening segment and see how Democracy Day has been celebrated in Nigeria. Join us then. Emenike Agu is my name on behalf of all that have worked behind the console for this morning session, especially Coco Lawrence, who we took her slot from the entertainment segment that she normally gives us every Friday. Coco will be back next Friday with another juicy package on entertainment for you here on LN 24/7. And to you, Zoe Okafor and Gimalo Angel, okay, thank you so much for making the morning session, work out. Collins in the control room, you guys have been awesome. We'll see you again at 4 p.m. Bye for now.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we continue with updates from the just concluded governorship in